This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Good morning, true seekers and true crime junkies. Welcome back to another episode of Hit the Road Jack, Finding the Zodiac. Today, we're going to start looking at victims that are possibilities for the Zodiac, since he said he's not going to tell us when he makes his kills anymore. He's going to make them look like accidents and fake clues, which I also have a portion of a newspaper article in here that's going to talk about those clues, which I was really excited about. So I'm going to go ahead and start by welcoming onto the show today, Nolan Del Campo. Good morning, Nolan.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm great. Getting better every day.
We've got some lag. We've got some lag in your system. I'm not sure if you might want to log out or refresh. Yep, and come back, because I seem to be waiting for answers.
Back in.
Yep, and then I'll bring everyone else in while you do that. Okay, and let's go ahead and bring in Harriette.
Yes. Good morning.
How are you today?
And we have some viewers, very local viewers right now, because they know I'm doing the show. So
okay. And we also want to bring on Terry Batcher.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Terry.
Good morning.
We have some interesting things we're going to talk about today, of course. I was going to start back with the victims. It's the first thing we're going to kind of hop into after the laundry and research. I asked for the stats for last December, you guys, and it showed that the views on Talk 4 TV, now this doesn't include all of the other forums where they may be watching, like my YouTube channel or otherwise, but we had 14,885 views last month on Hit the Road Jack, Finding the Zodiac. That's exciting because that's basically tripled over last year. Also, I did a filming on a documentary this last week for a true crime segment. I felt a little slimy afterwards. I'm not going to lie. I accidentally met the talent, which I probably shouldn't have, but they clearly showed no remorse for what they had done. They were actually excited they had got away with the things that they had got away with. And they were acting like brats who had to be wrangled in to do their job on this segment, even though they're the ones that went to jail for committing a crime. And now they have a TV series that's following her around and keeping up with her day to day, I guess, if you will. They were doing things such as going to the stationery store to determine what type of checks she purchased and printed to do fraud and things of that nature. But I was pretty okay with breaking apart the handwriting until she attempted to forge a signature that we simulated. And she was absolutely lousy at it, but she felt pretty proud of herself. So I'm hoping that they do air that portion on the segment where I could show she was nowhere near as good as she was. That will reiterate to all of these people out here committing these crimes that getting away with fraud or with forgery is not an easy thing. And in fact, in this particular case, the handwriting or the checks that I did look at that were part of her case, she didn't even attempt to disguise, manipulate, or change her handwriting at all. So she was going to be busted the second they found out that she was passing off that bad check, and then be able to actually connect her to all the other checks because all the handwriting was the same. So that's my laundry and research for this week. We are back to victims. Like I had said, the Zodiac has announced he's not going to tell us when he kills. He's going to leave fake clues. They're going to look like accidents, things of this nature. So I am putting back in some of the information from my anonymous, let's call her a helper, because it's likely that as she sends me these things and we're putting them in chronological order, we may actually be able to make more connections to what is going on. One of the remains that she sent me was that the head was not recovered. So Could this be Donna Lass's body? One or more limbs were also not recovered. And then it states one or both hands not recovered, and the body parts are found in Vallecito, California. Isn't that near Livermore, Nolan?
I'm not really sure where Vallecito is.
All right. She says 2.5 hours from
Can you hear
Placer.
me?
I'm going to have to look. Yes, I can. I'm not sure. The only
good.
Vallecito I have reference with is when I go to San Jose, I make a pass through Vallecito Road in Livermore. That particular road also has a GE nuclear power plant on it. So I'm excited to kind of take a look, see where this is, and see if we're coming up with something that would also relate to Jack. It says circumstances of the recovery. Partial remains of a female were located below a bridge which had a receding water line due to the drought. The victim had a tow chain around her waist, and a cinder block was found nearby. She was 4'10" or to 5'5" was the estimate that they gave. But the reason why this was brought up is the tow chain, since we know that Jack in 68, 69 was driving a tow truck. So this could have been one of his methods of operation, and she was dumped near water. Right, Harriette?
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
That's probably Zodiac territory too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look. But as I explained to the anonymous person, Jack, or the Zodiac, and every happenstance that I seem to follow around puts Jack approximately 2 to 2.5 hours circumference in the middle of all of the body dumps or missing people. So that seems to be his outlying comfort zone from wherever he happens to be at that time. So that takes us on to another victim I was completely unaware of. And this, as it relates to Donna Lass. So we know Lass was a nurse at South Lake Tahoe Casino, and she had moved into an apartment less than a mile away from this next victim, Charles Hollingsworth, just the day before she vanished on September 6th of 1970. Well, on October 27th, 1970, we saw the Halloween card coming out and saying there were 14 victims, which is 2 more than the missing Donna Lass body. Charles Lorraine Hollingsworth, age 28, was last seen in South Lake Tahoe, California on October 26th of 1970. Ooh, come on. Get that PowerPoint running. All right. So it says Charles was a doctor, and he shared a practice with his brother John in 1970. Their office was located at 1970 Highway 50. He was last seen leaving the office after an argument with a family member. It's unclear whether the family member was John. He never returned, and for the first couple weeks, John requested that his disappearance not be publicized. His car was found 2 days later at the abandoned Leviathan mine. That's another Zodiac thing, is mines and rail yards. Yes. Let's see. He says the Leviathan mine in Alpine County, about 24 miles southeast of Lake Tahoe. Locals have described the area as desolate, about 6 miles from the nearest town. The consensus is that it isn't an area one would likely stumble onto. They'd have to know it was there. And that seems to be the case with all of these Zodiac murders to begin with. They were all desolate areas somebody would have to be aware of. If that is correct, I find it kind of odd that the car was found so quickly, since the mine had not been active since the early 1960s. The car was found by a game warden, but because the case had not been publicized, he did not initially realize that the car belonged to a missing physician. Many have speculated that Charles committed suicide. He had just gone through a nasty divorce from his wife, Aura. Charles reportedly had a 19-year-old girlfriend, Martha, at the time. Aura married a pharmacist, Ron Rinaldi, who owned Tahoe Valley Pharmacy, just a block down the street from Hollingworth's practice, a few months after his disappearance. Charles had also been sued over a car accident in 1969. However, the same locals who described the unlikelihood of Charles just happening to end up there have also commented that it would be a difficult place to hide his own body. Extensive searches were conducted in the area, including helicopter searches, but no sign of him was found. Some have suggested that Charles may have left voluntarily, and that there may be some connection to the disappearance of Donna Lass, which had occurred less than 2 months earlier. I won't delve too much into Donna's case here, except for the potential ties between her and Charles. There is far more detail on Donna's case available online. Charles resided in a lodge at 3840 Pioneer Trail, while Donna lived at 3893 Pioneer Trail. And Charles apparently liked to gamble and would spend much of his time at the Sahara Hotel and Casino, where Donna was employed as a nurse. The Sahara was less than a 3-minute drive from their homes on Pioneer Trail. Says in an interview with Robert Graysmith, author of the book Zodiac, a former roommate of Donna's said that she and Donna used to go flying with 2 men who were from Riverside, but were living in San Francisco at the time. Charles happened to be a licensed pilot and he owned a plane. There may be an indication that Charles worked at Letterman Hospital, though I think I read information later that stated either he didn't or something to that effect. But in San Francisco at some point, Donna worked there prior to moving to Lake Tahoe. I wasn't certain whether the researcher, when stating that both worked at Letterman, meant both Charles and Donna or both men that Donna and her roommate flew with. It was one of the two, but it would suggest that the pilot was in the medical field, as was Charles. It is, however, known that Donna had been a nurse at Letterman and had left there when she moved to South Lake Tahoe a few months prior to her disappearance. Of course, foul play has been considered as well. Charles's brother has since moved to Southern California, where he died in 2011. His former wife is also deceased. The posted comments were, Charles' car was found 2 days later at the abandoned Leviathan mine in Alpine County, about 24 miles southeast of Lake Tahoe. Locals have described the area. Oh, that's just a repeat. Leviathan Mine is a United States Superfund site and an abandoned open pit sulfur mine located in Alpine County, California. The mine is located on the eastern slope of the Sierra Nevada at about 7,000-foot elevation, 6 miles east of Markleeville and 24 miles southeast of Lake Tahoe. So this kind of gives you just a reference in your brain, because we mapped out what it looked like for Donna Lass. She was abducted down in South Lake Tahoe, and her body was then found later over off of 80 and 20. So we see the distance that individual traveled from the abduction to where the body was dumped, or maybe even moved, as Harriette says.
You said Donna Lass's body was found?
Her skull, yes. We just had breaking news in the last couple weeks. Her skull has been identified by DNA.
Oh, it's just been confirmed.
Okay. 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I knew there was a skull, but I didn't know it had been confirmed.
Oh, yes. DNA has confirmed it, and that location is less than about 5 miles from Nyack, which is where Jack was in 68 and 69. So,
wow, okay.
Right. Dumping the body back where he was, because now he's left. This is one of the things I've talked about a lot, is that Jack will scout and go to a new area, commit a crime, go back to where he's currently living, then moves to that area. So now he's not even considered a suspect because he's just recently come to the area, commits a few more crimes, and then is off to scout the new area where he commits the new crime, comes back, moves out, and now he's no longer even an available suspect because he's no longer in the area. So that is kind of what this Nyack dropping looks like to me.
Jack was a sneaky. Is trained and sneaky, that's for sure. That's
right.
Yeah.
Did we lose Harry?
The cops will say, "Where have you been?" Well, I just moved here. Yeah, right.
Exactly. I just moved here with my family. Oh, a family man, really?
Oh,
okay.
Geez.
Well, so now we can see where this is where Charles went missing. His body's found way up here, and his car is found down here at the Leviathan mine.
Harriet just went missing.
Can you see that where it says missing right here?
Oh, Harriet went missing.
Oh, she says I'm here. I don't know where, though. I don't know if we've lost her connection or what. I don't see her.
I can't tell you're pointing where that Nyack is.
Are you not able to see my cursor?
Oh, there we are. Yay.
There we are.
Yeah.
Are you
now I'm no longer missing.
Okay. Are you able to see my cursor on the screen, Terry, as I move it around?
Move it around a little bit, Lance. Yeah, please.
What's that?
Move it around a little bit so I can find it.
I am moving it. Can you see it over here on the picture?
I see it.
Yes, I see it now.
All right. So the body of Charles is found way up here. He went missing from the same location as Donna Lass down here, but his car is found over here at the Leviathan mine. So that whole circle and around the lake is similar to that abduction here, and then taken to the very top of the lake over off to the left past Donner Pass, where her skull is found. However, Harriette has shown in her solves that the body had been moved. So where it was originally, it then ended up there, and we were able to confirm that solve was actually Swearingham's solve, but the skull had been found in 1986, long before Swearingham's solve, and he found the solve off of the reward poster, which really blows my mind, because unless that cipher was provided by the Zodiac unbeknownst to the public and they used it in that reward poster, then it would have been impossible for him to have ciphered a code out of that reward if it was provided by the police or by the family, that would have indicated a location where they would find the body. In fact, they found her skull.
So when did they confirm with the DNA? How recent was that?
Just a couple weeks ago.
Wow,
So,
that's cool.
Mentioned on the details of the remains where the head was not recovered and hands were not recovered. I want to remind everybody, and we haven't gotten there yet, but in the I-45 killings, there were body dumps where in shallow graves, there was a body, but then there was also extra sets of hands or extra sets of bones that didn't belong to that body. So this killer is bisecting individuals and placing different body parts in different locations, trying to make a connection for them.
Wow, interesting to be.
Right. Now, this is where I asked you, Terry B, about this search thing. So early on, when I was attempting to do any type of searches on Jack or JW Terrence, I could not find anything. Nothing came up. It was almost as if he was a void in our internet system. And we know that he was active on computers. He used cell phones. He was not the off the grid person unless those items that he was using was literally off the grid because they weren't detectable by the normal systems. But I received a message from an individual in regards to the search parameters for Letha. She says, Nanette, I cannot find anything on her. Do you happen to know if she remarried? Where she located to? I'm speculatively thinking she might have been residing in Vallejo, then Washington. Did Jack take the kids from her? I didn't have answers to these, but I do show that Jack is in the Santa Clara area with Lana, and in the San Jose area. So I don't know if Lana or the other kids ended up being with Jack and she left. Again, I'm just not able to find any information on her when I run her name, Letha Self. I had posed it to 2 separate private investigators who also ran a check on the multiple variances of Jack's name and couldn't even pull a single report on him. The third attempt with the private investigator, he actually provided me with a 200-page report, all the variances of Jack's name, did not show that Jack had ever been arrested for anything much more than had never violated the law, much more than a moving violation or a ticket. So there was not any list of the 3 times we show in his own paperwork where he had been arrested, arraigned, placed on probation, and otherwise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I told her
didn't he beat up a cop one time?
Yeah. Well, that was his friend, Bill. I think his name was Bill Smith in the Placer area. He did. Well, the cop beat him up, and then the judge let Jack off because the cop beat him up, but Jack made him beat him up. Jack knew if he could get the cop to harass him, then he would be let off his charges.
You might not want to use those 2 words together. If you do it infrequently.
Right? I said that I know that Lana, the daughter from South Lake Tahoe, was going to school in Santa Clara and sent mail to Flova from there. So I would assume Letha was there as well because Jack certainly wasn't stable. And by the time he met Dennis, the kids were pretty much grown by the looks of it. So I'm looking at these pictures of Lana in South Lake Tahoe during Christmas with Jack. And this is just before Jack is met Nora and begins dating Nora. So they're already grown at this point. Harriette this was her responding that Harriette has connections with Dennis's brother on Facebook. Charles, I think is his name. Could she ask him? I did reach out to Charles and attempt to ask, but I did not receive any information in regards to it. She also says, if my theory is correct, she has strong ties to JFK and LBJ, either by marriage or significant other. I said I wouldn't doubt it. I reached out to him about the recent identification on Donna Lass. I'll check to see if he's responded, but he hasn't. Jack bragged about having a wedding invitation to LBJ's marriage to his wife and hunted on his land. So there's definitely got to be a connection, and maybe that connection is in fact through Letha. I don't know. She goes on to say, actually, that there are people out there on podcasts that are leading an attack on me and Jack. They gave her a window to an opportunity to put Jack in the audience sight. She said, what is even better is how you presented Voight in the video, and it was tactfully done. The guy Ned, now we're going to talk about Ned here in a second, but the guy Ned that did the video, he has done 3 videos now debunking Jack. Ned is one of Voight's puppets. Oh, well, I have all of them blocked on Facebook, so they cannot take down my posts on JT, and one or the other puppets slams on Jack. I throw up Jack certs. Your video, I see it is effective with newcomers commenting. She's really enjoying that. She thinks that she found a picture of Letha. She's commenting on the mouth and how consistent that is with Letha's mouth, though she won't show me the entire picture because she wants to protect this person's privacy. She says it's Letha. The connection, the teeth, the lips are the same. I can't divulge much, as this gal connected living is a victim herself to all of this. I don't want to deepen her wounds. I might be an ass, but I'm not that much of an ass to hurt her. I don't have a horse in this race. So, yes, even in the 200-page report, it does not show Letha. It does not show Jack's children. So I find all of this to be very surprising because it lists almost as if the only family Jack has ever had is Dennis and his family. We're not seeing anything about these individuals.
Well, you're definitely detecting some nulls, as you were talking about, because Jack had a record, but then your investigator didn't find that record. So,
Jack is saying that Letha is CIA. Letha, so she's going to be quite protected.
That makes sense.
I think she's quite honorable too in her intentions as what she did for her work, but so I'm not negating anything and this person is also saying it's Letha. When I see the decoded missives, the H is often missing. Whoever he's talking to is saying Letha also.
Okay. So maybe they misspelled her name on the marriage certificate we have, and we've been looking for the wrong name.
Or for confusion.
No, it is Leatha, but whoever.
No, I know.
Talking with,
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
now back to this Ned guy. She's been having so she's warning me now that this Ned guy on his podcast is doing his best to tear down anybody who is providing good information. He gets them on their show. He almost gives them a heart attack or a stroke with all his bullying. And then the person ultimately leaves his show and tears down everything they have on the Zodiac because they're so sickened by the way they were treated by this guy. So she gives me this heads up, but then I start receiving these messages from her where she says that this man is a very, very good hacker. He's out of the Philippines. He has actually hacked into her laptops, into her emails. He has embedded a folder in her laptop where he is just taking information, and he was actually producing emails that she had with me that she didn't herself produce on the internet. So it kind of threw me off a little bit. And what I didn't pay attention to is just a couple days before this happened, I received a request from Ned Dehan to be a guest on my show. Now, I don't have a problem with him coming on. What's that?
No,
I wouldn't want any contact with him.
Well, and that's what I was going to talk with Juan about, because clearly if I let this man into my system in any way, shape, or form, then he can, I think, hack in, manipulate, and start controlling the information that I have, where it's going and where it ends up, if this is the truth. I don't know it to be the truth. I reached out and called him yesterday on a couple of his phone numbers, but I didn't get it. I didn't get any answer, so I kind of left that one in the box. But yeah, at this point, if they are doing nothing but bashing good work, I don't need any part of that. If you want to discuss the handwriting with me, that would be the only reason I would have you on this show with me. Otherwise, you have nothing to say about me. You cannot discount the information I'm putting out about Jack. I have proof about who he is and where he is, so you can't discount or debunk that. If you want to have a real conversation about the handwriting, I'd be down for it. But again, I'm a little scared. If you're a hacker and you're breaking into people's things, she said she's going to report it to IC3, which is some type of internet complaint department with the FBI. And I hope she does. Because if it is
Yes.
truly found to be him, then he will be in trouble for his actions.
I don't know.
All right.
Maybe telling it to the hand, I don't know if that's going to work for her, but
That one?
Here's
That
all.
one.
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to work for her. But
I don't either. Well, now she also sent me a personal ad, which I thought was extremely interesting. So
cool.
I don't have a date as to when it happened, but it's obviously clear that they are communicating through the personal ads again, just like the CIA did, just like the mob did, just like anybody who was doing underhanded and dirty things, or the people who use Craigslist today, right? Personal ad says, Zodiac, please send me your diary and other biographical information. Give yourself up to me and I will assist in legal and medical help. We'll write novel on your life and series of articles for widespread publication. Please get in touch for everyone's sake. Dale Huffman, reporter, Dayton Daily News. And that's out of Ohio. So if Harriette was here, she would be having a whole lot of things to say about Ohio, because we've already showed Voinovich letter in Ohio. We've shown other connections to Ohio. It goes on to say, lost, male, 6'1", blonde hair, blue eyes, groovy looking. Answers to the name of Tom Campbell. Last seen in KYA parking lot. If found, tell him Libra's back. Woo! So now we've got the Libra connection going on. Next one says, not responsible for deaths of Delaware Spencer as of 10/20/69, Robert M. Spencer. That's probably the proper use of the personal ads, because you're told that if you want a divorce from someone you can't find, if you're trying to get child custody from a parent you can't locate, that you have to publish it in the newspaper for 3 weeks. And if that publication falls on deaf ears and no one makes contact, you're automatically granted whatever it is that you're asking for. That goes on to say, Carol, Kate, Wendy, Kim. The number you're really after is 334-0000. She brought this up because she thinks this actually applies to our most latest victims, like Wendy Allen, or you know the victims on this one, right, Harriette? Carol Hilburn?
Yeah, Kim. Yeah, Hilburn, Kim, Wendy Allen. Oh my God, when you find out about them, okay, but yeah, so you got Kim, Wendy. What year is this?
I'm not sure what the year is. I wasn't told when this was produced, but this looks to me to be back during the other. The image is rather old and looks to be along with the other personal ads we saw back earlier on.
10/20 as of 10/20/69. It kind of gives you an idea of the era, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. It does map that out for us very close. Also, it says, Bobby, magic needs no wand to cast his spell, I know. Libra, check page 823, column 1 in San Francisco Yellow Pages. Wow. Jack, we have a message. Jack, have news, call MG. Thank you, St. Jude. FGM, and she believes that the FGM is for Frank Manali, but I don't know what his middle name is to say that's true. That is just her assertion.
We also see,
right? Yeah. I'm telling you, sometimes some of the stuff that pops up is absolutely awesome, but it's definitely showing that connection between Libras and again, who posted that article in the newspaper that we covered, call Libra at that number. Which is kind of consistent. I think if we go back, I think somebody was looking up the 334-000 and they located the area it was in. I just have to go back and check that out. It may have been the Livermore area.
I wonder one quick thing. Yeah. I wonder how they went about enlarging the word Spencer and that one about the not responsible for deaths for
that was something. That was something that they did back in the day to take up space.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
I got a little side note to that, but we'll talk about it later sometime.
Right. It's like their kerning is not
the word Spencer being the operative
the
thing.
Dallas communication, Spencer.
That's what I thought. The Dallas communication. It could be Howard or Spencer or Spencer.
Well, I got another one for you. About this gal that was beheaded in Shakopee. That's the town I came from. Not too long ago, a few years ago, by a guy. Her name was America.
Everybody again.
Her name was America Thayer. Her name was America Thayer, and the message is America. They are beheaded. I mean, if you want to look at it that way, but and the picture of the My Pillow guy was in the window on the property of where her body was beheaded at. And he did this right in front of
All
people.
right. Well, I have to move on with this stuff.
Spencer,
I'm sorry,
I'm Spencer.
Terry.
I'm
That
Spencer.
brings us actually. So if this article, like you were saying, Terry B, as of 10/20, and it might be that this is a 10/20 article, so he knew to put that in the article because as of the date that he publishes it, he is no longer responsible for this person. We could then assume that this occurred in October of 1969. And so, I'm sorry, of 1969. We now see November 13th, 1970, Carol Beth Hilburn, Santa Rosa resident, dumped in Sacramento, California on Ascot Avenue. She was also a nurse. Her throat was cut. She was so badly beaten that it required dental records to identify her. She was drugged through weeds and thrown near a wire fence face up. She was said to have accompanied the next victim on November 13th, 1970, to a bar called Zodiac in West Capitol Avenue. That's putting him back in Sacramento. I told everybody we watched the move through Fairfield, back into Sacramento, and on its way up to South Lake Tahoe. And here's just another indication of Sacramento being smack dab in the middle of it. Sure. It says this is where D actually dropped Carol off. They were said to be in Sacramento to meet some friends who were part of a motorcycle gang. We also know at this point in time that Jack had a motorcycle that was in Doris's name, but Jack owned it for all intents and purposes. And we also see in the 1974 police report in Mount Auckham for Danny Reynolds stealing that motorcycle he believed to be his mom's. Now, the murder map counts Sacramento murder, or I don't know if the count is as a Sacramento murder or a Santa Rosa murder, but even better, a transition from the Santa Rosa to Sacramento area. So it says, it turns out that Hilburn's case is being investigated by Sacramento Police Department, not the county sheriffs. Her body was discovered in an unincorporated area of the county, but she was last seen alive within the city limits. I spoke to the detective sergeant in this case, and he presented my theory about Philip Thompson. He agreed that Thompson looked like a good candidate based on circumstantial evidence. It turns out that there were biological samples found on her body, and the DNA profile from them were run through CODIS in 2003 with no hits. SAC PD also specifically compared the samples to Thompson, again with no match. Out of all the Sacramento murders, 1970-71, I really thought that Hilburn had the best chance of tying Thompson, but it does not appear to be the case. Now, what I want to bring up about that is that when we attempted to tell the FBI that they should run Jack's DNA through CODIS, they acted as though they couldn't do that because Jack wasn't a criminal, so they couldn't enter him into a criminal system, when we have a lot of proof, including probation and payments for that probation written in Jack's own handwriting, that establishes that he was charged 3 separate times, one of them with an attempted murder with a deadly weapon. You know, this man is a criminal. His information should have been able to be loaded into CODIS to see if we could make matches to some of these crimes.
You know what? Unfortunately, CODIS is kind of a joke as it stands, but we can go through that later on. On November
14th, 1970, D, Carol Hilburn's friend, the one that just dropped her off, was last seen at 4 a.m. at the Zodiac bar on West Capitol Avenue, Sacramento, California. She was found with her panties pulled down around one knee. I don't have information as to where she was found, but she was only wearing one suede boot. So either the Freeway or the Atlanta, Georgia killer, I found that they were missing clothing. Clothing was not located nearby. And I also think there's a possibility that some of the clothing that has been taken from some victims was also placed at another victim's site. So they then attribute that clothing to that individual rather than back to the crime in another area. And this one does show on the murder map for Betts. This gets us into Harriette's solve in regards to them. Are you with us, Harriette?
Not at the moment.
I feel like I lost her. Well, I'm going to try and go through.
Here
she comes again.
Here she is.
Try to hang in here with me, Harriette, because we're getting to your solve.
Don't move a muscle.
I'm here. Okay.
Yeah, don't move.
I think the weather must be causing problems. We may get snow in a couple of days, so that's rare for us here. So, anyways,
this message
let's go with this.
All right, let me intro it. I haven't talked about it yet.
Okay.
This message was handled by the San Jose Police Department, which
we're all
Jack is
cutting in and out. This
I'm not, so let me finish what I'm doing. San
Okay.
Jose PD, which Jack has returned to this area by 1969, and it says they are requesting the message. They are requesting the message. I want everybody to understand this. Not a cipher to be deciphered, which would indicate that messages are being relayed in the communications as suggested by Harriette and Swearingham. This literally says, enclosed herewith for the FBI laboratory are 2 copies of a letter received. It doesn't tell me by who, at the San Jose PD, San Jose, California, on this date. As noted, the message reads, but then it doesn't actually tell us what this message says. It says the laboratory is requested to have the cryptogram section attempt to immediately decipher the message and furnish the results to the San Francisco office. For the information of the Bureau and Sacramento, after a cursory analysis, officers of the San Jose, California PD believe the widow in the message may be Mrs., and it doesn't say, San Jose, California, San Jose PD, instituting 24-hour surveillance on this person. So this also means that law enforcement knows they are not dealing with just some ordinary individual that is writing letters to make claims of murders, but this person is up to par on embedding a message within a message and not just using ciphers or codes, but the messages themselves are indeed coded messages.
Yep.
That brings us to the next one, which is the QC33. I've not seen this letter. Do you know what this letter is from, Harriette?
I can't hardly hear you.
It says copy of handprinted note beginning, there is no doubt I will do my thing, and ending with the symbol.
Really,
I went through everything all the way up to November 69, and I could not find anything where it starts the letter as there's no doubt. The only one I could find is the dragon card, and he says, I'm so lonely I could do my thing.
Well,
right.
You got a gift there.
Well,
You got a special gift there then later. Anyhow, go ahead.
I found this accidentally. I was looking for the list of, I had a request from my friends to start on the Franz Valley murders. And I found this at, let's just say, theyhateDennisKaufman.com. So, and I saw this and I said, I could decode this in about 15 minutes because I recognize things that I see later on with DB Cooper communications. So I did that in 15
but there's
minutes.
There's no communication. It says the ciphertext portion, but it's not indicating to us what ciphertext portion. So clearly there was a cipher included in this in which they were attempting to decode.
That's why I'm saying this is relayed through the FBI, and I decoded it easy.
There's only one page there, part of a page too. It's not the whole works.
Right. It says the ciphertext portion of QC33 is not readable using previously recovered key. Its brevity precludes further cryptanalytic examination at this time. The furnished interpretations, which almost tells
weather.
I can hear you. The furnished interpretations of minus zodiac sign 62 zodiac sign minus as representing 1620 can be neither proved nor disproved analytically. The equal between November and 8 could represent the number 2. Such interpretation would be based on inferences drawn from the date of the postmark, not from cryptanalytic examination. And then that leads us into Harriette's solve, where you indicated that this was a message being relayed between the FBI that says the note is handwritten. So the typed negative plus, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a zodiac sign or a plus, is actually a negative plus BZ plus negative, as I've done many of Jack's cryptic messages where his 2 looks like a Z and his 6 is a B. So she said, keep checking back. Either way, her solve to this particular relay between the FBI has worked out to married Hilburn et Marie Ancy 94133 drag queen ex-husband Buttons, and she quotes in parentheses puts peyote Buttons, rural Lower Lake Bureau of Land Management off-highway vehicle. And then in parentheses again, Jeep Trail, Carol Beth Hilburn is going to meet Zodiac and die. Signed, Jack.
Wow.
And
how long did you do that solve, Harriet? Oh, she's gone again.
Right. She's not with us. So
Dang it.
now the relay to the FBI is November 24th, but Carol Beth Hilburn dies on November 13th. So I don't know if this is going to meet, would be an indication that it's going to happen versus it already has. There she is.
We need clarification on that. Oh,
I know.
Say something, Harriet.
Try moving your vehicle about 2 feet in either direction, and then you might be surprised.
Right?
That's it. My experience has been if you're getting a weak signal or a poor signal, you can move
the weather is really bad. There's a huge storm, I guess, going on the Midwest coast. And of course, she's in an area where it's heavy snow during this time of year. So she has bad reception.
You might be able to mitigate that by moving where she's at just slightly, 2 feet in either direction, any direction.
She says I'm here again at 10:42, but that obviously was just her right now trying to come back on.
Well, while we're doing that, we got more. Okay, because I was going to say that she's made there's some circuitous connections that she's made.
I'm here
there
again.
You are. All right. All right. We wanted you to explain to us the solve married Hilburn et Marie Yancey.
I think I just lost everybody again. Okay.
No, we're here.
I found married. And she's apparently friends with the ex-husband Marie Onstay, who is also a lover of Darlene Ferrin. So Darlene Ferrin is the enemy this time. And then the peyote buttons. And so he knows that they're meeting or drug things.
Oh, boy. Wish you're on your cell phone. That might help.
Right.
Just to if we got audio from you, so you can comment on it, Harriet.
Right. And if we could get her to call in.
Yeah,
she's frozen.
Try moving your vehicle 1 foot or 2 feet different from where you're at.
I don't think she can hear us right now.
That's something you can tell when you've got a marginal FM signal on your radio on your car. As you're moving your car, there's a null and voids where you'll get the strong signal and the weak signal. And if you move your vehicle, you'll detect that.
Gosh, I lost her again. All right, let me finish on with this. So this is her explanation in the book. It's a prediction of Zodiac target Carol Beth Hilburn will die. I've done other FBI Zodiac era decodes, so check out the blogs and get the books, The World According to Jack Terrence. And
I'm here again.
All right, get quickly.
The signal is great.
I know. Okay, so don't waste your energy explaining the signal. Tell us about this.
Okay, he's saying that the married Hilburn eats a lot of the Marie Onstay, the 94133. That's the zip code of Belli and all these people in that area. And then he's saying that that's a drag queen ex-husband who is probably hanging out with. Let's see, the listen to you guys again.
What's that?
So I'm trying to say that going to meet Zodiac and die, and this is planned a year in advance.
Wow! But this communication is in 70. Oh no, it's November 69. You're right. That is a year in advance. That's a year in advance. Holy crud! Yeah. I read that backwards. All right, so this is a prediction. Just as we've seen, and just as the FBI stated that they knew that Zodiac was predicting his upcoming crimes.
Yeah, that's
did you want to read this?
Operate in advance.
Did you want to read this? Did you want to read this? Harriet, did you want to read this excerpt from your book?
I can barely hear you, so he's just saying that she's to be a victim in advance, that this is planned a year in advance.
Yep. Absolutely. They operate that way. His associates operate that way. More than a year in advance in some
My
instances,
signal is
too.
good. It's saying that my signal's good. It's the weather,
Okay.
and I am in
Okay, so
Chrome.
I do like what you had to say here was it's a prediction of Zodiac target Carol Beth Hilburn will die. I've done other FBI Zodiac era decodes, so check out the blogs and get the books The World According to Jack Terrence and DB Cooper Solved, now for sale on lulu.com and soon to be all over the place online. I've seen other cryptic messages where one had to spell out the symbols such as the exclamation mark and 8 or 8, so this helped fill in the gaps. The lot number CR13439KJ was important to yield Jack's and the zip code, and that dash in it could be used as hyphen Jack, but I didn't see it as necessary. The message is still the same. Yep, the FBI during Nixon era was in on the Zodiac cases, and sadly, for many reasons, especially if they were somehow connected to Hoffa via Darlene Ferrin and others, they died. Hope this brings closure to Hilburn mystery. Jack says Marie Ansie's ex-husband was a drag queen. Oh, and by the way, I got lots more of Dennis Kaufman's Zodiac Jack files, and there's info on Darlene Ferrin, San Francisco contacts. We'll post more on this at a later time, but here is Jack saying about a Fisherman's Wharf, Broadway, Russian Hill zip code that did have drag queen bars and entertainment back then, circa 1960s. That said, here's another reason why law enforcement needs to check the Lower Lake North OHV Jeep Trail area with cadaver dogs.
Maybe it's my earplugs. Okay, I'm going to take these off.
I don't know. You were like, it was the whole internet system that was dragging down, not just your audio. It was like you were fading in and out. So that brings me to the clues that we talked about, everybody. Clues left behind by the Zodiac killer confirmed in this article. We can see that it says cops sure clues will snag him. And I love their
snag him.
What's that?
Snag him.
Right. It says the detective. Paul Avery. It says the detective in charge of the manhunt for the Zodiac killer, who now boasts he has slain 7 persons, said yesterday, I consider him to be legally sane. Chief of the inspectors, Martin Liu, made the statement at a morning press conference on the Zodiac case held at San Francisco's Hall of Justice. He, Zodiac, knows right from wrong. He knows that what he has been doing is forbidden. He knows the law is after him, Lee said. Catching Zodiac, Lee said, is only a matter of time. Wow, that's a little presumptuous. Our knowledge of this man is increasing. I am confident we will get him, Lee said. Clues is headline. Through physical clues, Zodiac has clumsily left behind at crime scenes and bits and pieces of information about himself he has inadvertently revealed in the letters sent to the Chronicle, police feel. So we now have live that purportedly the Zodiac has.
Not inadvertent. I think it was on purpose.
Absolutely.
He's taunting.
Absolutely. The watch at Sherry Joe Bates. That wasn't his. If they thought they were going to locate that to be him, they were dead wrong. That was probably the Swindles watch.
Yes, that was in relation back to the Swindles. Yes.
And I said exactly what you said, Nolan. Clues clumsily left behind by the Zodiac killer. I said laugh out loud. No. And they're close to catching him. Clumsily left behind would not be my consensus. Strategically, pre-planned, and with purpose, these clues have been left behind. Stop looking for them to be the Zodiacs and start looking to cross-connect those clues to other crimes to figure out their origin.
I got a question for Nolan. Okay, what's similar to a premonition? What's the legal term for in legality is that somebody, you can demonstrate that they had advanced knowledge of a crime, legally speaking. There's a special term for it, and I had it for a split second.
It's not
similar to premonition, but not
right off the top of my head.
But you know what I'm talking about? It's a specific word.
Premeditated. I've been looking for it too.
It's premeditated too, but it's not premeditated. It shows that it's premeditated, but it's a specific term that says
foreknowledge.
It shows that the person in question was involved in the premeditation of a crime. It's not premeditated, but it's a specific term. It's one of those terms that you'd know if you were a criminal defense attorney.
Well, and this is the FBI used that word that you're talking about right now, and I haven't been able to bring that one back to the forefront of my mind. They didn't call it premeditated. They called it they used it as a different word, but it was as if he was foretelling of the future crime that's going to come. And there's a specific word for that, and I can't recall what it was, but you were absolutely right.
And
well, that puts us at the end. That puts us at the end of our show, you guys. I'm sorry to have to cut
that the
us off
guy
here.
was involved. That's how,
right.
It's that specific.
Right.
Yep.
He knew. The FBI knew he knew. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we will be back with more victims and more whereabouts of Jack next week. Have a great weekend.
Hey, thank you.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.
That was fun.
Bye.
Bye.